The ramblings of a woman obsessed with restoring the balance. This Victoria has no secrets. Valentine's Day was meant to be, oh, so romantic. It was years ago, back when I had a figure envied only by my older self. The glow of the fireplace lit his face while anticipation danced in his eyes. My love handed me a suspiciously large gift. I tried pulling my libido from its hibernation to match his enthusiasm as the hot pink letters embossed in the black shiny bag came into view. Victoria's Secret. My thoughts whispered above the internal groan. My smile felt small and tired. Look, I'm a Canadian girl, and it was February. That means I was still carrying post-holiday weight. Nothing below my collar had seen the sun since before September, and I was most likely sporting homegrown insulation. In short, I was doughy, pasty, and hairy. Yep, I said it. There I was under the harsh lighting of my bathroom, unveiling the wonders that was my Valentine's Day gift. You know the outfit, every straight man's fantasy. A lacy, full bodice number, thigh-high stockings and garters, of course. By the time I was able to present myself, I was wild-eyed, red-faced, and completely disheveled. One might be flattered that their husband bought a size too small. However, I knew my hubby all too well. In his mad dash to the store to meet Hallmark's Valentine's Day expectations, he picked the sales clerk who looked most like me or who was standing closest to him in the store and asked her size. Don't get me wrong, the black ensemble was beautiful, with its iron boning and 72 hook and eye lining up the back and the tiny gold clasp for the garter belt that fastened just below the butt cheeks. I am sure it looked amazing on the mannequin. The headless, armless figure without flesh or flab to challenge the molded shape made the garment seem perfect for the occasion. More importantly, the mannequin had help strapping the sucker on without the pesky inconvenience of having to breathe. What my husband envisioned when he laid eyes on this outfit walked right down Victoria's Secret's runway after the Super Bowl, with very little consideration for the intended recipient. It was a sleek and sexy black getup, but what I saw was very different. The wire reinforcement in the bodice was enough to prop up any amount of cleavage horizontal. Nothing says comfort like 6 barbs of boning and metal lining. The sticky adhesive elastic topping the stockings promised to shred all of my existing epidermis. I had not groomed since New Year's. My tender skin was in repair mode. Why not squeeze into a pair of thigh-high nylons as well? I sound like a bitch, I know, but it was a Tuesday. It is just plain cruel when Valentine's Day falls on a weeknight, a school night. I was just happy to get the kids in bed early enough to share a bottle of wine, whisper some sweet nothings, take top, and go to bed. Instead, there I was, with my breasts up my nose, tugging and reefing on the least agreeable fabric known to men. Imagine 72 tiny curls of wire that needed to be slipped into loops of thread that ran down my spine. Putting the corset on backwards was the only way to fasten every delicate hook. Did I mention it was too small? I remember looking in the mirror and seeing the elegant breast cup sitting on my back as I wrestled and wiggled, trying to twist it into place. At one point, my husband asked through the bedroom door if I was okay. Because I had spun myself into the vanity so violently, it was a wonder I didn't wake the kids. Once the death trap was facing the correct way, I was an enraged, unlikely contortionist who still needed to fasten the garter straps. I was bound so tight that my breaths were sharp. How the hell was I going to bend at the waist to locate the small gold clasps, let alone secure my nylons to them? Somehow I got it on. Not without sacrificing skin and air supply, I got it on. Stepping out of the powder room, I was donning Victoria's Secret's newest super sexy showstopper. I am sure it was oh so romantic. For him. My gliding to the bed wasn't by choice, as the stockings limited my movement. I reined in my frustration, my discouragement, and my overall self-loathing for the sake of the occasion. When my husband released me from my torture chamber, I was mixed with relief and outrage. There was no shortage of sex drive within this man. We had no need for the little blue pills. Lingerie acts as a visual enhancement for the already well-advantaged, equipped, and fired up. The bitterness of resentment thickened on my tongue as I considered my misplaced effort, working in brutal contrast at that very moment. My husband, like most men aged 25 to 55, were already aroused. Very little effort, if any, was required to ready him for romance. In fact, he is ready with the change of winds. I don't dare bend over in front of him, nor do I beat banana bread batter in his company for fear of alerting his undisciplined appendage. What man in a romantic relationship needs convincing, enticing, or seducing to have sex with his partner? No average one, I can assure you. Peggy Bundy from Married with Children might be the only exception. Usually, I don't mind playing along. It is not difficult to excite the almost always excitable. It just would have been a pleasant change if the effort to seduce were his towards me. Not his fantasy imposed on me, requiring my effort to visually stimulate what was already stimulated. If only I were masochistic, I could have taken a lot of satisfaction in smacking him around that Valentine's Day night. I digress. Afterwards, when he was still giddy with the memory of his gift, he started making birthday and anniversary requests. He must have read divorce or homicide in my expression because he stopped talking. I haven't gotten lingerie for Valentine's Day since. There is a silent understanding that if he buys me a self-satisfying present again, he will wind up with the newest leather purse sitting in the display window of Roots for his next birthday. I have nothing against lingerie or impractical underwear. In fact, I have a whole drawer dedicated for all such things. Not surprising, these items are all in my size and all to my liking. Well, they were all self-procured. It is just, in my experience, the intimacy is much better when I feel sexy, beautiful, silky, and smooth. On many nights, I've encouraged my husband to pick out something for me to wear as I slip into the shower before bed. Talk about a kid in a candy store. No hockey game could keep him on the couch, not when he could rummage through my collection. Once he's decided, he hangs it on the back of the bathroom door. Occasionally, I will pull back the shower curtain and find his selection from my lingerie drawer without my prompting, which I am happy to display for him. Anything is better than receiving an ill-fitting, self-serving gift. The following year, my husband surprised me by placing a very generous Victoria's Secret gift card in my Christmas stocking. When I reacted to the inordinate amount, he gently suggested that I consider him while doing my shopping. I did. After I shopped for myself, I bought for him. And not even on Valentine's Day would he model the thong I purchased. It didn't matter that the saleswoman said that it was perfectly safe. I guess I'll never see what happens to the purple feather when the elephant lifts its silk pink trunk. The point is, sex is best when both parties feel desired and desirable. This may look different for everyone, yet it's important to know what does it for you. That Valentine's Day was the last romantic evening that I allowed my own pleasure to take the back seat. He has no complaints with my satisfaction being the focus, as his is not compromised. As you can imagine, it makes for a better night all around. This concludes the ramblings of a woman obsessed with equality, specifically bedroom equality. Thanks for listening, and be sure to get yours.